Hello and welcome to the Halloween edition of Gaming Banter with David and Ryan. We're joined today by David,
Hello.
Derek, Matt,
Where is it? Where's the trigger?
Sunday,
I'm the devil.
and Ryan. Hello. I don't have anything interesting to do. But today we are going to be discussing stories that we would like seen turned into video games. Because we find that fascinating, and we're on Gaming Banter. So first we will begin with David. Tell your story and terrify us all.
All right, so my story is kind of a true story. I'm gonna take the mask off and put it on top of my head because I think I echo when it's on. We'll put it like this, so I have it over one eye. So mine is based on a dream that was an epiphany dream for me when I was a child. I think I was probably 7 years old, and I lived in this house, and there was the front door had windows on either side of it, and a peephole, but you couldn't get to look out the peephole without people seeing you through the window. So it was always scary when strangers would come over or knock on the door because we knew they could see us. So I had a dream one time that this guy he had a really big face and really big features. He was like, I don't know, creepy, kind of clownish guy, was like running around a house and like trying to peek in through the windows. And so I was like, ah! And so I hid, and then he ran over to the windows that were by the door, and he looked in, and he saw me, and I could tell that he saw me. And then he like ran off, and I didn't know where he was going. And I was sitting there, and I was like, if I don't know where he went, he could come back at any time and get me. And so I left my hiding place, and I ran to the door, and I unlocked the door, and I ran out after him. And that's when I decided it's always better to like confront things than to avoid things in life. Because if you avoid things, because you're afraid of what will happen when they happen, then you're just always going to be afraid of what will happen when they happen. But if you just confront things, then you'll find out unless you know for sure it's bad. Like, don't grab fire, don't confront fire, it will burn you. Rules of thumb. But I think that would be a good game. It would be kind of like Splinter or Slenderman, 8 pages. A Slenderman, 8 pages, and also what's the new one? The Arrival.
Arrival.
But instead of like when you see him, if you turn around, then he gets closer. Oh, don't give it. Just spoiler alert. If you turn around, then he gets closer and closer. Instead, if you run, then you die. But if you charge towards them, then you live. The whole time you're running around doing stuff, and you're scared, and it'll appear. You have to charge at it. And people will die because they'll think they're supposed to run. The end.
Tips by David on how to beat Slenderman. Run at Slenderman, and he won't hurt you.
Just run out. Just get it.
Confront the
Healing
evil.
hugs. Healing hugs, bro.
Why don't I believe you?
Why did I believe you?
We actually had a guy do. We'll do this. We actually had a guy do some videos on Slender the Arrival, and he tried that theory, but it didn't really work out for him that well, and he screamed like a little girl.
No.
More to come later this week. But anyways, Derek, tell your story.
I had a really weird dream that I actually think would make a pretty sweet video game. Sometimes I have like really narrative dreams where there's a lot of structure and like a plot involved. It's really kind of bizarre. There's this one dream I'd been reading about I think it was the 7 Years' War, the French and Indian War, and I dreamed that I was like this colonial mountain man, and my sister sends me this letter, and she's like, my husband, who is serving a tour of duty at this British fort, hasn't sent me a letter, and I'm worried about him, and I want you to go check on him and make sure everything's okay. I was like, okay, fine. So I go on this long trek through the wilderness, and I arrive at this fort, and when I get there, the place is pretty much empty. There's nobody around, and I go wandering like over the walls of the fort, and I go looking through some of the rooms and stuff, and I stop in this one room and start reading through this journal. Like, it's the journal of one of the soldiers that was at the fort. And as I'm reading through the journal, I kind of stop, and I don't get scared very often in my dreams, but I remember turning around in my dream and looking out the window, and there was this British soldier just standing there at the window, and he was staring through and smiling at me. And the thing that struck me about him was he had these kind of like shark teeth that he was looking at me at, and he just kind of stood there staring at me. And the longer I looked at him, the more like frightened I became, and eventually he just kind of slunk off. And I was like, what the heck was that? And so I start looking around, and like slowly I uncovered these clues that some of the British soldiers had gotten lost out in the woods and like turned to cannibalism and eating each other and turned into Wendigos, and it consumed everyone in the fort, and it was freaky, and they were hunting me, and then I woke up. But I think it would make an awesome video. Like, it'd make a great survival horror out in the middle of the wilderness kind of game where you're trying to uncover some sort of weird mystery about what happened at this fort, why is everyone gone, and slowly you start getting stalked by these crazy, transformed, cannibalistic British soldiers who are now like Native American Wendigos. Like, I like weird game settings that aren't typical, and I think that one would be kind of bizarre. Like, kind of a supernatural colonial setting would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Matt, your story.
So mine's also a dream, and no one ever believes me when I talk about this just because it was a dream I had when I was 4 years old, and no one can ever believe that I remember it, but it was just so vivid, and it's just stuck with me all these years. So basically, I was in my house. It was when we had just moved to our new place, and it started out normal. Like, I was just hanging out with my parents, and we were eating dinner, and then we ended up watching TV. And then I went outside to go play or something, and it gets kind of foggy. But then I remember I was playing catch with my friend, and he like threw the ball over my shoulder. I went to catch it, and I turned around, he was gone. And these two like cloaked figures like grabbed me and tied me up and pulled me into the house, and they like tied me to this table, and they took down their hoods, and it was my family members, and I was like so freaked out. And they had, for some reason, they have really long nails, and they were like threatening to like stab me in the eye or something. It was really, really weird, but it creeped me out just because it was in my house, and I'm really freaked out by like home invasion type stuff, especially movies. So I think it might make for a cool like indie game or something. You know, something short. You could pay like $10, and it's like a 2-hour thing, and you're basically like, I don't know, trapped in a house with a cult or something. I think that might make for a creepy game.
There was actually a movie that David and I watched last year, and it was like really cool because it's same type of theme where like this babysitter goes, and it's like in the 70s, I think, so it's before like, the era of cell phones. And so she like goes to this house, and it's like this really creepy guy, and she's supposed to be like house sitting this old woman. And like they end up being this cult, and like the entire movie you're just waiting for it to like turn into something creepy. And all of a sudden, like, without spoiling it completely, like bad things happen.
What's it called? Like House of the Devil or something like that?
Yeah, it's House of the Devil.
That devil lives in there?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. Except for
something like that. Similar, like slow burn, like gets crazy at the end, and it's just totally freaky.
Sunday.
Yes.
Horror video games.
One time when I was living up in Northern California, me and my boyfriend got tickets to go see orchestras at night. Like you take the boat out, and then you do an audio tour that walks you through. And when the audio tour is done, it's like pitch black. You can go through different parts of it yourself, but it just like in the designated areas, some rooms are blocked off. And I don't know that I really believe in ghosts, but I think they're if they do exist, they're the scariest thing ever because you can't really stop a ghost. They just are there. And so me and my boyfriend went to the hospital wing, and there was a blocked off room, and with some like rope or whatever, and we kind of peeked in, and there were all these wooden cabinets, and we were kind of just like as a joke looking into the darkness. and then suddenly we heard this like boom, like something just the wood, I don't know, whatever. It's old and windy and cold, so I'm sure it just like settled in some weird way. But it honestly sounded like someone had just like slammed a cupboard in there, and we both were just sitting there like, and for that like 3 seconds, I'm just like, ghosts are real, ghosts are real. And so I would love to have a game like that, because Alcatraz is so specific. Like you could get the game designers to make it look exactly like it, and then like maybe you're stuck on the island for the whole night because you can't swim off. Like that's the point of the prison, and also too that they have different creepy parts like the isolation, what's it called, cell, which is all dark. It's totally dark, and they can shut the door and like let you experience it when you go on tour. So I think that'd be fun, like a Alcatraz at night video game, first person, but just way more scary. But yeah, that'd
Those
be.
kind of settings are getting really popular. I mean, look at how many horror games have been set in like insane asylums and places like that are really isolated and you can't get out.
Yeah, I think if they made it like perfectly accurate, it'd probably be a lot of money to do it, but like that would be really cool because then it would feel like you were at the place. Like if you were to go there, actually, you would know all the little like weird place to hide, I guess. But yeah. Also, side note, there's a ladybug in here in my room, and it's like really noisy. It's like very weird that it's in here. Look at it.
The haunted ladybug.
I don't know. I mean, whatever. It was just like floating around. I thought it was a bee at first, but it's not. Who took a picture?
All right.
The go.
So, my story is one that happened many years ago when I was visiting Morocco, of all places. And basically, it was kind of getting late, and it was toward the end of our trip there. And so I went to like go to the market to like pick up this linen shirt because I really wanted to like bring some kind of souvenir back. But the town that we were in had these very narrow passageways, and like pretty much just imagine the scariest environment imaginable. That's what it was. And it was really dark, and then I heard these footsteps behind me as I'm like going into the alley, and it's dark, and there's these shadows that just kind of like loom over you, in front of you, and then I turn around really quick, and it was these two guys trying to sell me drugs. Surprise! And he was like, "Hey man, you want some hashish?" And I'm like, "No, go away before I kick you." Like seriously, it was very freaky. But I want to couple that with what I experienced this last week. I was at Florida at Universal Studios. They had Scarefest, which is where they have like 8 haunted houses at the park, and you pay admission. You go in, you can do like 8 haunted houses, and they're all like very high quality, very good costuming and stuff like that. But one of the coolest ideas there was they had this 3D haunted house where you actually like put on 3D glasses, and all the guys in the haunted house were wearing like scary suits that like were 3D, and so when they came at you, it was like even worse. So I want a game that makes you wear 3D glasses and does 3D effects on you, but also is set in like Casablanca, Morocco, and like you're going through all the alleys and stuff like that, and there's just like these yellow eyes, and then they like pop out and get you. I think that'd be a lot of fun. That's my story.
I never knew Morocco could be so scary. It just sounded like a nice place to vacation.
I just wanted a linen shirt, and
I just wanted a linen shirt. That's ridiculous. Nobody wants a linen shirt.
Why? You can't iron linen. Oh man. But anyways, so that's my story. So what do you guys think? Who had the best story, and can we create some kind of awesome mega story with all the elements together?
Oh, like a game that has a bit of everything.
The only way I could think that would work would be it would involve time travel and a TARDIS.
Ooh.
What if it was a Moroccan prison that was haunted by your family members. That was
The key point there is Matt's family members have to be there to scare
Yep.
us.
You're like, Grandma, and then you're running and screaming. It's like trying to sell you drugs and like. You have
There's
the,
like peepholes everywhere where there's just like his family members are like peeping through the holes. And...
yeah.
What are you doing, Matthew?
That's so good. I would buy
see you in there.
They're like the game reviews are like, there's no way that this all should work, but I was scared. Like I did it.
Oh man. Well, that to me sounds like a fun game. I mean, this kind of reminds me of some of the indie games that we've been looking at. One of them was Among the Sleep. Did you write an article on that, Matt?
Which
No, it wasn't me.
That was,
Among the Sleep. Did you write something on that, Derek?
yep, that was me.
Okay, I know you have, and then Johnny, way back when, also wrote something on that. And that game actually kind of terrified me just watching the trailer. Are you guys familiar with it?
I
Rather
don't
than
think so.
Derek? Okay, so basically, for those who haven't heard about the game, it's an indie game in development where you're a baby, like a toddler. And so everything in your world is from the perspective of a toddler. And so you like see this creepy monster like in the shadows and different places, and you're having to navigate in your own house late at night while storm's going and try to like do something. I don't know. It kind of has elements of like Slender where I think you have to kind of escape. And it's like this creepy guy with like an umbrella that he's carrying around, and you just see a shadow. But everything's like huge, and like you interact with it like you were a child.
Huh.
It was
That's kind of awesome. Yeah, like a baby or something. Yeah.
It was
And, like,
because in the trailer, like this kid wakes up and like he looks over and his teddy bear's like no, and it gets like drug off into the darkness, and you're like, dude, something just stole my teddy bear. And so like you escape from your crib gets knocked over and you go chasing after him, and like something was trying to drown your teddy bear in the washing machine. You like get the washing machine open and pull your teddy bear out, and he's like, it was really weird. And like so he's like your companion on this adventure you go on trying to figure out what malevolent force is haunting your house. It's really cool.
That's pretty legit.
Huh, yeah.
So I'm gonna try to bring up the video here so we can watch just a little bit of it. Screen share, and then I'm gonna do that and that and that, and
Look at his cute little jumper.
Oh, babies. Who was watching this child?
His parents are gone too. Like they didn't give a lot of information, but his parents aren't around for some reason. It looks
And
really
there
cool.
you have it.
Yeah, those look cool.
I'm pretty excited for that game because like you're this baby and you're like crawling along, and then like if you wanna reach stuff up above you, you stand up and you kind of waddle towards it really slowly. Like the mechanics for it seem really cool. Like they had this one picture where like there was this dark presence in the room. You couldn't really see it, and the baby had like crawled under this bed and was hiding in the back and stuff. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. It's like a haunted baby's day out. You guys remember that movie? Like,
Oh yeah.
it's like from the 90s. It's just about a baby like who beats these two kidnappers, but it's just a toddler crawling around New York City.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That
Yeah,
was good.
it's not a very good movie, but it's memorable enough to.
It was a good premise. But
Yeah.
horrible. It's kind of like 101 Dalmatians, where it's just like a horrible movie, but the
Yeah.
premise is kind of cute.
Or it's really like kind of slapstick too, sort of like Home Alone, but with a baby. Like the villains get electrocuted and fall off things, and like tarred and feathered for no reason, and all that stuff.
Fun fact: 101 Dalmatians. The villain was actually House from the TV show House.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like he looks completely different, but he's like an idiot villain in that story. It's like, man, you went from that to that.
Huh.
So, but anyways, thank you for joining us this week. Take a look at Among the Sleep. I think does it still have a Kickstarter going, Derek?
Probably not, but no, the Kickstarter was a while back actually.
I think it's actually already released.
I think it's an alpha maybe, but
Yeah, I know PewDiePie actually did a run through of it. So check out that, and thanks for joining us this week, guys. Hopefully this brief little Halloween fest was a little fun for you, and we'll catch you next week.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, and feel free to take a look at our website, www.ultimategamedb.com, and subscribe to our channel. We would love to see you there.
And definitely also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you like us or follow us, you'll be able to see when we're posting new shows and also a lot of articles. The Ultimate Game Database posts a lot of stuff on what games are coming out that week, how the consoles are doing on the console wars, a lot of fascinating stuff.
Yeah, so subscribe, like us, tweet us, and we will see you next week. Bye!